Okay, so shalom, brothers and sisters. I have, I'm going to attempt to make shorter videos. Oftentimes, I think my content is too rich. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of content, a lot of things that cause a lot of thought and things of that nature. And so I think what may help is to shorten my clips, maybe to like keep it under 5 minutes, because I think people's attention span is just, they don't have the attention span, especially on like social media platforms like YouTube, where you may start watching something and then you're scrolling the whole time, right? You're scrolling, you're texting, you're reading comments. So there's a lot of distraction in YouTube world. And I think it's probably, better to consolidate and chunk some ideas and maybe make several separate videos, because the content might be too complex, too thought-provoking and stimulating for those people who like stimulating content. I'm a person, I don't like silly cat videos. I don't like, you know, people just doing stupid stuff. That type of content doesn't make me smarter. It doesn't make me wiser. It doesn't increase my knowledge. And so I'm the type of person, I need content that is enriching to myself, to my mind. I need something that's going to educate me, um, expose me to new concepts, new ideas, cause me to question and evaluate myself. And I'm the type of person, I'm very introspective. I tend to ask myself a lot of questions and evaluate my life at many different points, and try to determine, you know, am I being productive with my life? Am I moving my life forward in a direction that leads me to a better place? And I think, some of the content and materials that I have created in the past, like I wrote a curriculum called the Entrepreneurial Youth Training Program. And in that um, curriculum, of course, the curriculum was designed to help underprivileged youth find their way out of poverty through acquisition of skills, through entrepreneurial mindsets, um, and through money management. You know what I mean? Um, I personally, now, of course, I went to college and I graduated I have a bachelor's degree. Um, and so some of the curriculum, some of the education that I have is in business. I've taken many business classes, and what I tried to do is kind of consolidate that information in a curriculum that helps youth to understand what it means to be a businessman. Now, me personally, my heart's desire is not to work for the corporation. I believe, first, I've worked for the corporations a long time. Since I was like 19 years old, I've been working for corporations. And working for corporations has not caused me to be in a place that I want to be. Some people seek after corporations and the stability of the 9 to 5 for housing. Most people are slaves to their mortgage payment and are not free to leave their 9 to 5 out of fear of losing their house. And so they become a slave to that mortgage payment, and because they have a mortgage to keep, they become a slave to the 9 to 5 so that they can keep the roof over their head. And that, I believe, many people give the best years of their lives away to the corporation. And when they retire, most people die soon after they retire. You know what I mean? Like, you retire and then a few months later you're dead. You gave the corporation the best years of your life, the best strength that you had, your youth, you know what I mean? And what did you give yourself? As soon as you retired, you died. You know what I mean? Like, I want to live my life in pursuit of my goals, my dreams, my ambitions, and not be a slave to the 9 to 5. Now, there are times, and I'm looking to find work right now just because having resources helps you to build your own future. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you need money to earn some money, to save it, to manage it appropriately so that you can move your life forward in a direction that you feel your calling is. However, I was created not to buy a house. You know what I mean? That is a treasure on earth. That is your treasure, your house. That's your vault. That's where you keep all your precious belongings, including your kids, your animals, uh, your jewelry, your clothes, your car. Your house is your vault. That is, the place where you keep your treasures at. Until hurricanes come, fires, come, mortgage, bankers come and take your housing and your home and things like that, and all that you work for is completely gone. You know what I mean? So think about that for we're talking about California recently and all the fires that took place over there. People's wealth burned up in flames, gone. That type of destruction, you know what I mean, in people's lives, everything they work for is gone. You know what I mean? Which teaches me the futility of slaving for the 9 to 5 for a house only to watch it go up in smoke. You know what I mean? The same thing is when you pass. Like, you can't take any of those things when you go. The clothes on your back, you know, uh, the roof over your head, your cars, all your financial material possessions, at the end of your life are going to mean nothing. What's going to happen is those people who would call themselves your family are going to fight over your possessions to enrich themselves. You know what I mean? Causing family strife and division, unless you have a will, of course. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of rambling on. I believe, and this is what I want to talk about, is any kind of life change that you make in life, you have to have the awareness of your own necessity to make that change. You know, as the sayings go, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? Once you see the direction and the path that is a more optimal direction for you to get you to where you need to go, then you have to take action to manifest that health. And so part of my assessment that I, created in my curriculum, the Entrepreneurial Youth Training Program, was a self-directed assessment that you personally assess your health in 5 major categories. Okay, um, so on a scale of 1 to 10, you would rate your health, say in your economic health, since we're talking about finances, right? With 1 being poor, 10 being very good health. You know what I mean? That you're healthy financially. So economic health is one domain of the assessment. Then you have relational health, right? So for a man like myself, who spends most of his time alone with introspection and pursuit of the things that I desire, um, and I feel called to do, like, my lifestyle currently is very isolated. Now, in a relational health category, I probably would score myself extremely low, probably a 2. It's not that I am overwhelmed with feelings of loneliness. There are times where loneliness pops up. It's not consuming. However, in order to be a healthy person, you need people, you need relationships, you need friendships. And so I was fortunate this morning that I woke up and I came here. and I met some people that were doing a yoga class in the park. You know what I mean? And I joined them, and I had a really, really good time. For me, I believe, of course, there's some physical activity, and so anything that's physical, hiking, um, activity wise, I tend anything that has to do with nature, sightseeing, um, being immersed in a living environment, a natural environment. I tend to gravitate towards those types of adventures. Um, I'm on an adventure in now in life. It's an adventure that's in solo op mode. It's not in companion mission. I'm not on a companion mission right now because I have nobody by my side. But it is, it's a solo op, which gives me the freedom to do the things that I want to do. However, relational health is an issue. So I have economic health that you would score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, you would score yourself then on relational health. How healthy are you in your relationships with other people? You know what I mean? And then after that, you talk about your mental health and your spiritual health. Um, and so there's five: relational health, spiritual health, economic health, mental health. And there's one other one that I'm missing here. I can't seem to think of it off the top of my head. But um, what I was trying to do is have a way that you can assess yourself every month and track, not only hopefully be able to open your eyes and see your need to make some changes in a healthier direction. You know what I mean? Um, and so that really was the first purpose, is to acknowledge, because life change often begins with an awareness of your need to change and make changes in your life. And so this assessment is a good way for you to periodically assess yourself and say, how healthy am I? And you rate yourself and you score yourself. What you do is you take the average of all five category scores, and you divide them in by five, and you get your average overall health score as a sum of all five of those general health areas that you're assessing. And then when you assess, say for instance, my relational health, I score myself on a scale of 1 to 10. I would probably right now probably score myself a 3, because I am moving in the direction of better and more healthier relationships. And so that being just more friendships, more people to engage with, more people to talk to, and also myself, my own spirit. Because in order to have friends in your life, you have to be friendly. You have to be a person that people generally enjoy being around. You know what I mean? And so, um, and this goes into your spiritual energy. Like every man, every woman has a spirit inside them. Some people's spirits are filled with worry and fear and dread and anxiety and feelings of lack of love and isolation and pain and hurt and abuse. And other people have different spirits about them. You know what I mean? And so, yes, I do believe that you should protect your energy and guard your energy from contamination. I think that's very, very important for your own health and wellness. And so if you have a friend who is bringing negative energy into your life, you have to become aware of that first of all, but also you have to take the action to correct that relationship and move yourself into a more healthier place. It's your responsibility to change your life. There's no one coming into your house and saying, hey, you got to change this now. You know what I mean? You are the one who is in control of your life. You are the one who's responsible for directing the course of your life in a direction that you believe is going to lead you to a more optimal place. You know what I mean? With those people, that are helping you to see how to get there. And I believe we need people in our lives to help us find our way. We do. None of us is born into this world knowing exactly how to get to anywhere we want to go. We need, it's a process of discovery, self-discovery, exploration, and sometimes having a guide with you in life's adventure, someone with you by your side, that when you make mistakes, you have some help to help you correct and get back on course. But getting back to life change and manifesting life change, you have to become aware. Your eyes have to be open to see the necessity to make changes in your life. And part of the reason why I wanted to create this assessment tool that is easy to use, um, and it's intended for you to become aware of your need to make some changes in certain areas of your life. Now, um, I haven't really done this in a while. It's maybe been about a year or so where I haven't assessed myself, but I need to do it again just to do some introspection upon my heart, my mind, my soul, and the direction that I feel that I need to move in. Right now, there are things like so. For instance, one of the big things that I have been wanting to do, in as far as a life adventure, I've been wanting to go to the beach. I'm here in Oklahoma. You know what I mean, and so the beaches in Texas are relatively close. California might be a little bit too far for me, but I've been wanting to go to California and check out their beaches over there too, as part of a an opportunity to help my own mental health. To have, sometimes you need something new in your life, a new experience, a new adventure, something fresh that reinvigorates your mind and your body and your soul. So I don't think I talked about physical health, right? So physical health, spiritual health, mental health, relational health, and your economic health. Those are the five to me. So yes, you have to assess your physical health, right? You know, I think for many of us, that's quite easy for us to do. We look at ourselves in the mirror, we put ourselves on the scale, and we say, hey, how do I feel? Do I feel well? Do I feel tired, lethargic? And if so, what do I need to do to make myself feel better? And then you begin setting goals for yourself that target the action, the action that's necessary to achieve and manifest your goals and desire. And so, um, sometimes people make manifesting over spiritual and don't put any emphasis on the action, the work. It takes work to manifest things in your life. It takes work to build things in your life. There are many things that I am trying to do. Um, of course, I am experimenting with the game of love, which I, recently uploaded to my YouTube site for the community. I have yet to play it, um, but I think, and I believe, and I theorize that it is going to be a very beneficial game for people who are serious about building happy relationships. Um, it's a fun way of showing your love for that woman in your life and that man in your life, um, and helping them, because relational health, like if you're in a relationship with somebody who's unhealthy, that relationship is going to make you unhealthy too, because you've yoked yourself to a person who's sick and not well, and their spirit is contagious, just like your spirit is. And angry spirits, violent spirits will rub off on you. They will impact you. They will uh, exert an influence over your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. And so, the assessment that I'm speaking about, you're one person, but yet you have a mental faculty, you have a spiritual nature, you have a physical nature, you have an economic capacity, you have a relational dimension. There are many dimensions that we engage in as a human being. We're just not a physical being. We have spiritual beings. And so part of the assessment is for us is to assess our spirit, our spiritual health and wellness. Am I spiritually healthy? You know what I mean? Does my spirit feel at peace? Am I my spirit at rest, or am I anxious? Am I fearful? Are there other things that are impacting the wellness of my spirit and my soul? You know what I mean? And so these are all assessments that I believe that every one of us have to assess periodically. And what I'll do is with this video, I'll do like an example on how to assess in your own health, your state of being. It's your self-assessment based on your own judgments and your own perceptions, but it is given for you to be able to evaluate yourself in all honesty and truthfulness and say, hey, you know what, my relational health is very poor. I need to do something about. I need to take action and to do something about that, to change something about that. You know what I mean? And what I have noticed in myself is that when my spirit inside of me begins to change, other areas of my life, my relationships, begin to change as a result of the spiritual changes that are happening inside of you, the mental changes that are happening inside of you. And so, you have many dimensions of health for the human body, but you're still only one person. You know what I mean? If you're, you need to make changes, you need to make changes, and you're the only one that can do the work. So, um, action is what produces change in your life. And so the example that I'll give is, strength training, right? Physical health is impacted by the level of action that you take. If you're running around the block, that physical action is going to change things in the makeup of your muscles and your body and your health. Action is what produces change. And so if you're trying to change and become healthier physically, mentally, relationally, spiritually, and economically, then you have to take the action to move your life forward. Um, what goals do is they channel our focus and our direction in pursuit of the goal. So that's when you write down your goal, you put it up on your refrigerator, you have it in front of your face, you're reminded of that. In you know what you fix your gaze upon, your mind upon, is what you'll pursue. Like we have eyes in the front of our head, right? And we look forward and we walk forward. When I turn my head in this direction, I'm going to start moving in that direction, because what we focus on determines the direction and the pursuit of our lives. And so this is another thing that I wanted to talk about, is the ability of the internet. And I know this video is probably way past 5 minutes by now, but I wanted to talk about the ability of the digital world to capture our focus, you know what I mean, and divert our attention off of our goals that we're pursuing in our own health and wellness, and divert it onto things that are not moving our lives forward and not productive. So when you're consuming digital content, just think about the time that you spend every single day with a cell phone in your hand. How many hours a day do you have a cell phone in your hand? Are you streaming social media content, internet, news, movies, content that is preoccupying the focus of our mind and diverting our attention off of things that are going to produce lasting changes in our health and our wellness? We're being Our attention is being taken off of things that are going to advance our lives, and we're consuming content that makes us idle. Think about when you consume content, right? Your butt is sitting down in a chair, you're sitting down on a couch, you're sitting down on a toilet, you're running on a treadmill, you're consuming content. You know what I mean? And oftentimes in a manner that is inactive, because consuming content is probably not going to lead you to better health and wellness. Can we just be honest with that? Uh, Digital capture of your mind directs your attention off of yourself and your goals and becoming the person that you are trying to be, and causes you to spend countless hours being idle. You can be like just like a car, right? That car, when you turn on the ignition, has the ability to do work. It can take you from your house to your work, your job. It can take you anywhere you want to go if you got the gas in it. Okay. But a lot of people have their cars turned on, but they're in idle mode. They're not moving their lives forward. You're just burning up gas, idling your life when you just consume content hours after hour, wasting time, doing nothing but listening to other people. Now, the right people to listen to can increase your life. They can increase your education, your knowledge, your skill set. But then there's content out on the internet that is a complete distraction, a complete waste of your life and your time, and it absorbs you in your mental state in pursuit of idleness. And that's what much of the digital content is just you zoning out, you escaping from the life that you have and escaping into the digital world to watch little cat videos and dog videos and people, acting a fool and being entertained. I'm the type of person, I'm not really big into entertainment. I want to live, I want to take action, I want an adventure, I want new experiences in life, I want to see new places, I want things that enrich me and help me to become a better person. And much of the content on the internet, there's a lot of good content out there that enrich people. However, what I'm starting to find is I scroll through my feed and I keep seeing the same stuff popping up again. I start at the top of my feed, I see things, and I'm like, a lot of it's trash, and so I delete a lot of the stuff on my feed, just delete. What I get hit with a lot of times is you girls out there, you know, I may be checking out the news, trying to stay up to date on what's happening in the world. I might be researching health and wellness and whatever. And then I see a girl bending over doing splits. You know what I mean? And as a man, that's going to hit me in a woman is my weakness as a man. You know what I mean? The attraction that a man has to a woman is very natural. You know what I mean? It's a natural thing for a man to be attracted to a woman and to notice them when they're walking past you. You know what I mean? And so because a man is attracted to a woman, I don't want to ever say that you're less of a man, because you are a man. A man should be attracted to a woman. You need a woman. Um, but all these girls out here, man, it becomes like in like much of the content, except from some of these women, is intended to attract a man. I mean, they're doing splits, bending over, you know what I mean? All the things that charge a man sexually and attract a man. I'm not going to fault a woman for being a woman and who she is. Um, there's a lot of girls out there in the digital world who are lonely. You know what I mean? And that's what I see. Men and women are relationally poor because they're engrossed in this digital world. They have a device in their hand, but it doesn't bring them closer to another human being. We need real life human beings in our lives. We need people, companionship, friends, people to go on walks with, people to talk to, people to share our lives with. And the digital world keeps us isolated, keeps us alone, keeps us unhealthy. And so, everybody who's out there, you can almost guarantee that you're probably consuming 4 hours, 5 hours of content a day. What could you be using that 5 hours to do? You know what I mean? You could be using that 5 hours to write books, get healthy, build strong relationships with the people you could be spending that 5 hours a day in pursuing many different types of goals and dreams that you have as a person. But most of us are going through our days idle. We're on, but we're not doing anything to move our lives forward. We're just burning up our gas, and we're not going into a healthier place. And so, awareness, you have to see the door that you need to walk to. You know what I mean? You have to have the revelation, your eyes open to see your need to make changes. You have to have the awareness. The awareness is the first step. Then you have to develop pathways to get you to where you need to go. Like, if I want to take a trip to Texas to get to the beach, I've been looking at Corpus Christi, Galveston, Texas, just because it's close and it wouldn't take me, but a day or so of driving to get there, and I don't want to be wasting my life sitting on a bus or driving a car, and aggravation that comes along with that, So, um, but that is a goal for me, a health and wellness goal for my mental health, for my spiritual health, for something that I feel, intuition, right? I feel that I need to do, you know, make a plan, see the need for it, make a plan, take action, act, uh, um, take action to pursue your goals. See it, map a plan of action, of goals, set your goals, and take action steps to achieve it. Action is what produces change. So if you're trying to manifest a better body, you better take action to get that body. You know what I mean? If you're trying to manifest a husband or a wife, you better do something. You better take action to manifest that husband or wife in your real life. Digital content, what I find, and there's a few women that I'm very attracted to when I watch them. They capture me visually. I see beautiful spirits, inside of them, and that attracts me to them. However, digital love can never satisfy a man. A man needs real life touch. I need real life kisses. I need real life holding. I need real life friendship and companionship. And you're not going to get that through digital means. How many people have tried uh, dating, online dating, and have found it to be completely pointless and purposeless, because all you get is a picture and a few words. You can't know who a person is from a picture and a few words, a profile. You need to know if your spirit and that person's spirit can resonate together. You know what I mean? Um, and the only way that you can experience that is you have to have time with them face to face. You need to feel their energy. You need to see their spirit. You know, see their personality, their what they think, what they believe. You know what I mean? There is an interview process that you have to engage. How you gonna know if this person is gonna be your best friend for the rest of your life unless you spend time with them cultivating that friendship? You need time to build relationships together, and most people, sadly, in this digital world, are so engrossed in digital spaces that they've left the real life spaces behind, the real world behind, and they're sitting in their rooms, in their dark rooms, playing video games, watching TV, scrolling on their phone. Their minds are not established in moving their lives forward. They're idle. Their minds are idle, and they're not in the mode of creating. You know what I mean? And this is one of the most powerful things of a human being, is our ability to create artistry, create dances, songs, expressions. You know what I mean? One of the most powerful abilities that a person has is their ability to create, to make, to do things. And when you're just sitting at home watching TV, you're idle. when you're on your cell phone just scrolling mindlessly, and I was just a couple minutes ago just scrolling on my phone, couldn't find anything. Back in the day when you used to have cable television, you would go through all the channels, flick, 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 all through other channels, can't find nothing to watch. The same thing is starting to happen on YouTube. I'm going through these feeds, can't find nothing because it's all crap content. I don't like crap content, and so I have to make a decision. You know, am I going to allow the digital world to capture my focus, my attention, and divert my attention off of my goals in my life in pursuit of the things that I want to do, in pursuit of idleness? Watching, rams in the woods butt their heads up against freaking punching bags. Like, I understand there's all type of content in the world, and some people like, that, but that type of content doesn't stimulate me mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, relationally. It doesn't encourage me, and it doesn't feed me with anything that is nourishing to my mind, body, or soul. And that's really what it is. There are certain things that you can feed your mind that are you know it's the snack food of mental health. You know what I mean? It's the quick fix. It doesn't do anything to help you to better your life and your achievement, but um, it causes you to waste your life away. How many people are wasting their lives away scrolling through the internet, never doing anything to live life, to achieve, to become healthy? And this is the state of being in 2026. We have a digital world that many people are escaping to and never leaving, and they're becoming unhealthy the more and more they stay in that digital landscape. And so this definitely was not a 5-minute video, and you know these are things you have to consider. Let me turn this around, see how much. 37 minutes. Yeah. So um I don't know, you know am I doing this? Some of these videos, and I know some people are watching my content, and they might not be saying anything, but I hope that it is thought provoking and stimulating you in some way to think about yourselves in ways that you haven't seen yourself before. And that's all I can ever ask for is that you would see things in a different way, and maybe you might see the door that you need to walk through and begin to take the steps that lead you to a better space. But I truly believe this digital addiction is capturing our minds and causing us to leave the real world in the environments that we prosper in. We human beings thrive in the real life world. Digital worlds make us sick. I was talking about the content, right? you know when you feed your mind with content that is toxic for your mind, you're going to get mentally unhealthy. Violence, murder, all these things that leave images upon, imprints upon your or your conscious mind. You go see a murder movie and you see a horror scene, even after you leave the theater. That horror scene is still in your thoughts in your mind because you've allowed those images a place. You've allowed somebody to sow images of murder, death, and destruction into your mind, and that has an impact upon your mental health and your spirit and your relationships and all the things that come along with that. And so as a person, you have to be aware of the damage that these digital worlds is having a impact upon your minds. But you have to see it for yourself. I can't say this is what it is. You got to have your own eyes open to see the truth. And then you have to make a determination to make some changes to lead you to a better place, to escape the digital world and re-enter the real world with real people, real friendships, um, and environments that are healthy for your mind, your body, your soul. You need that. We need that. But you have to become aware of your need for change. I'm thinking about getting a job just so I can go on my vacation uh, that I want to go on. You know what I mean? I don't have to have very much money. I could probably do it, a 2 or 3 day trip for under about 200, $300. You know what I mean? I could probably do that. Um, but I still wouldn't have a woman by my side for that trip. Do I need it? Solo op mode is solo op mode sometimes. Sometimes you got to go on a venture solo if there's no one by your side. Um, and you can't allow being alone stop you from living. You know what I mean? And I'm not the type of person who wants to go to a movie alone. I think that's busted. You know what I mean? Plus, to watch a movie, like I really don't want to watch very many movies anyway. You know, I do want a real life adventure, see new places, have new experiences. Those things cost money. You can do things on budgets. You know what I mean? And minimally, but I would much rather have an enriching life experience than be a slave to the 9 to 5 and give the 9 to 5 the best years of my life. And then when they're ready to throw you away, they throw you away and you lose your life, you lose your house, you lose everything. I'm not doing that. That's not a direction I want to do and pursue. I like to do my own thing and live my own life's adventure. However, necessity may dictate getting a job and to be able to save up and do the things that I want to do. That's something that I'm going to have to consider, what I want to do. But getting back to what I was saying before, I had the opportunity to sit and talk and hear, like I was talking about the yoga class that I was a part of today. Physical activity is good, you know what I mean? And I try to be physically active as much as possible. But what I really needed to do is be a part of that group just to be around some people. Get to meet some new people, get to talk to some people. There's some pretty girls, which for a man who loves women and understands his need for that feminine energy, that was the perfect place to be. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to meet people if you staying stuck in the house? You're never going to meet people staying stuck in the house. You have to leave your house and be face to face with people to get to know them, to see their spirits, to see their personalities, to see what they believe, and see if there's, you know, a companionship and communion and a friendship that can form. You need people in your life, but in order to have people in your life, you have to remove the things which are crowding people out. And oftentimes, these digital devices, the content, the video games, the movies, are crowding real life human beings out of your existence. You know what I mean? Are you making space for other people to be in your life? You have to do that. And are you seeking out real life communion and relationships and presence? Because we need other people's presence with us, physical presence. Digital worlds, real life human beings weren't never created to live in. We need real life people, real life community in our lives. And so I think that's long enough. Definitely not a 5 minute video, and I'm not taking the time to go and try to cut these videos down. I'm just going to upload it like I always do. So, blessings upon you. I hope that this video was stimulating and thought provoking in some way. But This is my own solo adventure. Some of the things that I'm thinking about, and um, until I see you again, blessings upon you. And I hope to see you in the real world, face to face, one day. And instead of looking at these camera eyes that are looking at me, I want to see some real life eyes. So, shalom, blessings upon you until I upload my next video. Bye bye.